Alright, good evening folks. Welcome to our UKIP St George's Day special, the Coppertops. Before we start, can I just ask you who here isn't a member of UKIP? Is not a member of UKIP. Okay, splendid. Well, if you're feeling inspired at the end of the evening, we've got some membership forms down here at the front, along with some other goodies like window posters and some leaflets. And we've got a copy of the newly produced manifesto here as well. It's kind of a summary, but it's all good reading. So please do take one on your way out if you like. By way of introduction, I'm James Goad. I'm a parliamentary candidate for UKIP this time round. I'm also standing locally in St John's for the St John's local elections. I'm going to go first. Next will be Owen Cleary. Owen's standing for the local elections in St Clement.
Bedwardine.
Bedwardine, that's right. I know what I'm talking about. Owen will be talking about immigration. And finally, Richard Dellingpole. Richard's standing in St Clement. He'll be talking about the European Union. And at the end, we'll have a bit of a Q&A session. And if you've got any questions about those subjects or anything else anything else on your mind, please do ask. So without further ado, I'm going to talk a bit about tax and welfare. We've got a fully costed manifesto, and it kind of shows in that UKIP support working people. I mean, when you want to go out to work, you want to know that you'll be better off than someone who doesn't work. I mean, for too long in this country, people have been better off at home on benefits than they have been when they've been working sort of full time. So I mean, you can't blame them for doing that in a way. It's kind of a rational decision. But you know, UKIP really want to bring back the incentive to do well and to make work pay. And with that in mind, we're going to raise the tax-free allowance to about £13,000. So anybody who's on full-time on the minimum wage is going to not pay any income tax at all. So we would also increase the transferable tax allowance for married couples. At the moment, the tax allowance permits a husband or wife who doesn't pay income tax to transfer about £1,000 of their personal allowance over to their partner. And we would raise that to £1,500. VAT, another one, something we all pay. One of the most complex taxes to come to grips with. You know, what kind of biscuits do have VAT, which ones don't. Well, it's all kind of really bizarre and complicated, but thanks to the European Union, we have to charge between about 15 and 25% on VAT on anything. So 20% it is at the moment. But when we leave the EU, we can set our own rates for VAT. So we want no more tax on things like tampons, for instance. That's the tampon tax. We pay, ladies pay 15% on that. Sorry, 20% tax on that. That's pretty much a tax on women just for being women. I mean, it's pretty loathsome when you think about it. So, but plenty more instances of stupid taxes in terms of VAT. There's plenty of tax dodging going on out there, particularly by the large companies, the huge corporations. And it's grossly unfair that these multinationals have been able to access the benefits of the British market and not paid their fair share of tax. And once again, Europe allows this. For instance, companies can set themselves up in Ireland and pay 12.5% tax, despite doing most of their business over here. So we're going to clamp down on that by effectively leaving the European Union. To companies based in Britain, having businesses generating income in Britain will be paying tax in Britain. Individuals have also done a great job at not paying their tax. People like Jimmy Carr, Sir Michael Caine, David Beckham, Chris Moyles, Gary Barlow, all people who've avoided paying their fair share in one way or another by employing clever accountants to find their way through these tax loopholes. Because the tax system is so complicated that it's easy for people to avoid tax these days if they employ the right people. UKIP would clamp down on tax avoidance. What about welfare, the welfare side of the equation? We want a system that's fairer and is simpler and is less open to abuse. There needs to be a strong safety net for everybody, because any one of us could suddenly find ourselves unemployed or bankrupt or ill. But the system has become too bloated and abused. And some of the things we would do are as follows. We would end welfare tourism. We'd have a 5-year ban on benefits for immigrants. Once they paid into the system for 5 years, then they'd be eligible for the full range of benefits. But until then, they ought to have private insurance to cover their costs and cover the costs of the state in treating them. We would stop child benefit for children not living in this country. We've all read those stories in the paper about people sending their child benefit abroad to kids in Poland, etc. And we'd also limit child benefit to 2 children for all new claimants. Now, for housing benefit, we would scrap the bedroom tax. Surely one of the most unfair taxes out there at the moment. We'd also continue to pay housing benefit for young people under the age of 25, and also give tenants the right to request their benefit is paid directly into their landlord's account. We'd also abolish all the tick box quotas for sickness and disability assessments. This would speed up the assessment process. We'd also end the Atos-style work assessment programmes and return all the assessments for such people to GPs and consultants, and people who are likely to know you more. You might know someone or be someone who has to give up work to look after a sick relative. Now that's a huge sacrifice. And if you're a carer, we will increase your carer's allowance to match the higher rate of job seekers' allowance. That's an extra £572 a year. We'd also improve your access to support by sharing information on benefit and social care. We'd also invest in food banks by having a trained advisor there, so people in need can get some advice on a range of things. Because people who use food banks, often have a range of other problems, debt, addiction, so on and so forth. Having someone there, kind of in a one-stop shop, if you like, will be very useful for those people. So the final bit, how are we going to pay for all this? Well, our manifesto has been fully costed by an independent body, the Centre for Economics and Business Research. It's the only party which has had a third party assess their manifesto. All the other parties say their manifestos have been fully costed. Well, they have been, but they've been costed by themselves. We're the ones who've had ours independently costed. And we would make savings elsewhere by replacing the Barnett formula, for instance, which sees £5.5 billion going north of the border to Scotland. So the average Scottish citizen is 14 quid a head better off than we are in England. Because it's unfair in England, unfair in Wales, unfair in Northern Ireland. We've got to cut the cost to Westminster, abolish useless departments, like the Ministry for Culture, Media and Sport. Get rid of quangos. Stop subsidising the bar in Parliament, all those MPs getting pissed at our expense. No more. That would save a few billion. That's not just the bar, I mean. Well, you never know, it could be quite a lot. We cut the foreign aid budget from 12 billion to 2 billion a year. Most of that aid is wasted, and the Conservatives sign up to it basically to try and run a load of Guardian readers around to their way of thinking. It's a waste of money. Most of it doesn't do any good anyway. And what we do is the remaining money we concentrate on clean water programmes, humanitarian relief, disaster relief for the people who really need it. The saving lives, inoculations and things like that. And we'd also scrap HS2. That saves £4 billion a year, as well as removing an environmentally harmful project. And we'd also leave the European Union, which of course costs us £9 billion a year in direct contributions. Well, that's it for tax and welfare for the moment, so I'll hand you over to Owen, who's going to talk about immigration.